You're listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Glad you can join me on another podcast of All Things Sports with Mike Davis. I thank you for including my podcast into your day. If you're listening on Spotify, go ahead, follow the podcast. If you're on YouTube, same thing. Follow, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Like it. Be sure to go to the Facebook page to get in contact with the show for any comments or any suggestions. I won't take up much more of your time. Let's get into it. All right. So, before I get into it, I wanted to mention a show that I saw on Netflix that I thought is one of the worst shows I've seen. One of the worst shows that I've ever seen. And it's with Jamie Foxx. I can't think of the title. Something. It's I think Don't Embarrass Me or something like that. And I didn't know he even had a show coming out on Netflix. And for those of you that are new to the podcast, sometimes I like to talk about what I'm watching on television or what I'm watching in the movies. So this is that part. If you don't want to hear this part, please feel free to fast forward to the main topic of why we're here today. But before I get into that, though, like I said, Jamie Foxx, you know, I saw someone mention it online, and they said, yeah, Jamie Foxx has this new cool sitcom that's on Netflix. I said, why don't I check it out? Because I love sitcom. It's my favorite genre. I like it more than anything, more than action, more than drama, more than any thrillers. I love comedy. And I was a fan of the Jamie Foxx show growing up back in the 90s. So I go to check it out, and I can't stand these shows now because a lot of the people that I grew up watching are now doing shows that are pretty much made for children. This was a corny show for children and teens, not for adults. And I got through one episode, and which was the very first episode, and that was enough. That was it. Couldn't stand it. I was done with it. There's another show. I had a homeboy who watches this show, and I don't know how he gets through it. Whatever show the sister twins are on Netflix, I tried watching that show as well. The reunion show, something, I don't know. Couldn't get through it. Couldn't stand it. It's a no for me. So, just letting you know, Jamie Foxx has a new sitcom on Netflix. You might like it. I can't stand it. I won't be watching it again. So, that's what I'm watching. And by the way, I have to catch Snowfall today. I normally catch Snowfall the day after it airs. So, I am going to watch the season finale of that. And I cannot wait. All right, but enough of what I'm watching. Let's get into the real reasons why we are here. So in today's podcast, I wanted to talk about the Phoenix Suns. This is a team that no one really talks about at all. We kind of just overlook them when it comes to, NBA playoff teams and whatnot. They haven't really been relevant for the past, it feels like, up 10 years, So with the Phoenix Suns, I want to know, is this team for real? Is this Phoenix Suns team a team that we should be afraid of? And I want to say that when they acquired Chris Paul, I didn't know what they were going to get. I don't really think Chris Paul wanted to leave Houston. That's just my thinking. I don't think he really wanted to leave Houston. But I didn't know if Phoenix was going to get a bit of Chris Paul or, I'm sorry, I'm not Houston. OKC. I'm all over the place. OKC, not the Rockets. I didn't know if he wanted to leave OKC because with the Thunder, remember, they got to the playoffs last year and he kind of surprised some people, and I thought that maybe, he wanted to stick around. But then we saw that OKC was going to go through a full rebuild, so that quickly nipped that in the bud. So I just didn't know what Chris Paul the Suns were going to get. Were they going to get a happy Chris Paul who was happy he was there, or a bitter Chris Paul that teams just keep trading him onto the next team, and there's no real stability with him? Because look, Chris Paul, I've always associated him as a loser. and don't take offense to how I say it. The guy is a phenomenal point guard, but he just has that wrong it factor to him that followed Charles Barkley. Okay, it followed in another sport Dan Marino. A guy who just can't win the big game. He's had his shots. He's had his shots, and it just hasn't panned out for Chris Paul. And I always believed that Chris Paul would be one of those guys who just was going to retire without a championship. And look, there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't make you not a Hall of Famer, but it just doesn't seem like he's going to win one. I remember there was a meme going around a couple of years ago when he was with the Charlotte Hornets. And, well, he wasn't with the Hornets a couple of years ago, but the meme was going around a couple of years ago. But there was a picture of him in his early days, and not with the Charlotte Hornets, but with the New Orleans Hornets. I can't stand when teams do all this moving around and they leave Charlotte, go to New Orleans, and then the Charlotte gets a name back and get rid of the Bobcat. But that's another story. Okay. So Chris Paul was with the New Orleans Hornets, and there was a picture of him with Tyson Chandler, Peja Stojakovic. Was it Peja? I believe it was Peja. It was Peja. It was, I'm trying to think of David West. David West, and who was the other guy? Was it Posey? I don't think it was James Posey. But anyway, it was a picture of him with those guys. And I thought it was funny because it said, the caption read, name the one player in the picture without an NBA championship. The only player in that picture without a title was Chris Paul. So you had all these role player guys that he was surrounded with. They ended up going somewhere else and winning the title. And unfortunately, like I said, Chris Paul just hasn't been fortunate in that I'm going to get a title realm. It just, the title has always just eluded him. I thought that possibly, it wasn't a strong possibility, but it was slight possibly he could get one in Houston. But no one knew that the Golden State Warriors were going to go on the run that they went on. If you say you knew the Warriors were going to go on that run, you're lying. You're lying. No one saw that run coming. And I'm not talking about when KD came. I'm talking about when they were winning before KD. Was it like 2 years they won before KD? They won one finals before KD got there. Harrison Barnes was on that team, on that Warriors team. And now you can pretty much put Harrison Barnes on the who he played for segment of the NBA on TNT. I believe he's in Sacramento. I know he played in Dallas. He's either in Dallas or Sacramento. He's in one of those places. But you get my point. So, anyway, the Phoenix Suns, I mean, this team is looking really good. They're looking like this Phoenix Suns I grew up watching. I grew up watching the Suns with, Thunder Dan Marley, Sir Charles Barkley, Kevin Johnson, Chambers, Paul Westphal was the head coach. Those are the Suns teams that I grew up watching. They were always at the top of the West. Excuse me. And we really haven't heard any noise from Phoenix really since Steve Nash and Stoudemire and those guys, ended up leaving from that team. But they're making noise this season. It seems like the Phoenix Suns are back to being a NBA powerhouse. They are, at the time I'm doing this podcast right now, they're 41-16. So they're 41-16. They are a game and a half out of first, right behind the Utah Jazz. I mean, you got some surprises up top in the Western Conference. I knew the Jazz were a good team. I didn't think they were a number one seed. I sure as hell didn't think the Phoenix Suns would be a 2 seed. And this is Phoenix improving from last year, from being 34-39, and then they were 19-63 the year before that. So improving this year, I mean, just going to get Chris Paul, look what it's done for them. They go from 34-39 last season to almost through a whole season of being 41-16. And they're led by a balanced scoring attack. You got Booker, who's averaging 25 a game, and I believe they have 3 other guys that are averaging at least 15, and they have 4 guys that are averaging at least 10 points a game. So this is a team that kind of reminds me of that Denver Nuggets, where they spread the ball around. It's not just one person that's going to get the ball and do his thing. Yeah, you have Devin Booker, who's going to get his 25, which is what he is averaging this year. But behind that, you have pretty much a balanced scoring attack. Then you have DeAndre Ayton. He's averaging 10 boards a night. Chris Paul's averaging 8 assists and 1 steal. So you got guys across the board that are doing something. You got your scorer, you got your rebounder, and you got your point guard. Now you just need your role players and to go out there and play defense. And really, that's how basketball teams are built. You know, in this league, you're going to win with 2 stars. So you got Booker and you got Chris Paul. And you have a young Ayton who can play defense and get rebounds. So, and then after that, you have, you know, your role players, whoever it is you choose to fit what you're doing as a team. And that's what Phoenix has, you know. And I like what they're doing. They're second in the league in field goal percentage, and they're 7th in scoring. They're putting up 114 points a game. And this is a key stat. No one talks about the free throw percentage. All they talk about are how big men just aren't great at the free throw line. But as a team, the Suns are shooting 82% from the free throw line, and that's 3rd in the league. So, look, Phoenix is going to be a force to be reckoned with, I think. And right now, the way the playoff picture is set, the Suns, they're matched against the Dallas Mavericks. That's 2-7. That's if things stay the way that it goes. Remember, you have the stupid play-in thing the NBA is going to do this year. I don't like it. I've mentioned that before. Now, when I say a force to be reckoned with, I mean that in the first round. I'm sorry, Chris Paul. The trend is going to hold true again this season with Chris Paul. The matchups, it just doesn't work in Phoenix's favor. Now, if they beat Dallas in the first round, which I think they will, let's say if the standings, the seeding holds up the way it is today, look, they'll lose in the second round to Portland or to the Clippers. That's who they're matched up with in the bracket. Now, let's say something drastic happens and they overtake Utah for the 1 seed. They'll beat Memphis in the first round, who is matched up at the 8th seed. But they'll lose in the second round to the Nuggets or the Lakers. That's who's in their bracket if they get the 1 seed. Now, I will say, if the Lakers are without AD and LeBron, anything is possible. Anything is possible. But they definitely won't get past the Nuggets in the second round because of experience. You know, so look, for this team, it's going to be 2 rounds and out. They're a nice feel-good story. Nice feel-good story. And I look, they just need to keep building. I don't know how long Chris Paul can hold on playing basketball, but they're going in the right direction. And they just got to get some experience under their belt. And then they'll possibly be able to compete to go past the second round. But right now, they look like my old Atlanta Hawks. I'm just going to be honest with you. Great team, they'll get 50 wins, and then they'll lose in the second round, unfortunately. So those are my thoughts on who are the Phoenix Suns, what they're about. What are your thoughts? Tell me what your thoughts are, what you think about this Phoenix Suns team and the run they're on this season. Let me know in the comments, and I'll meet you down there. All right, let's turn over to this day in sports, April 22nd. April 22nd, yeah. All right, this day in sports on April 22nd, 1954, the NBA adopts a 24-second shot clock and a 16 foul rule. I believe it's 5 team fouls now, right? You're in the penalty over 5, I believe. I think that's what it is. Anyway. Hey, look, that's all I got for you today, folks. I thank you for including my podcast into your day. If you're listening on Spotify, be sure to follow the podcast over there. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, comment, like, all that good stuff. Go to the Facebook page to get in contact with the show for any comments or suggestions. You've been listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis. And remember, it's your world. I'm just giving my opinion. I'm out. Peace.
You're listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis.